Hi, third graders, and welcome to Wednesday, November 4th. We are just a few weeks away from Turkey Day, and as we approach Thanksgiving, we are going to be thinking of lots of ways to describe the food that we're going to eat, the activities that we're going to do, maybe the places we're going to go if we're going to see family. And you guys already know, because we've talked about this, that adjectives hang out with our nouns, and they are the most powerful words that we can use to describe things and to give a lot more meaning to our words. So, we're going to be talking about those both in terms of how we label them in our IEW writing, or excuse me, in our Shirley sentences when we do our grammar, and we're also going to be talking about them in our IEW writing. And we're going to practice some with them today because this week in your writing, you are going to add quality adjectives as another dress up. Now, the reason that I have this great blue screen is because everything adjectives is blue. And so when you underline your quality adjectives, they will be in blue. So everything in this PowerPoint is blue. So you shouldn't forget that we have to underline in, and hopefully you said blue. So let's get started. First of all, let's review a little bit the questions that we ask, and this would be in our Shirley grammar because we often have a whole bunch of words in our sentences, but we want to be able to appropriately find the adjectives, and sometimes we accidentally find adverbs or we choose other words that aren't really adjectives. So here's some questions. What does the noun look like? So if it's a person, maybe it tells us what that person looks like. How many are there? All numbers are adjectives. What color? All colors are adjectives. How big? And what kind? So all of those words are going to be adjectives, and if we can answer those questions, then we have an adjective. So for what does the noun look like? Maybe pretty, dirty, ugly. How many are there? 6, 15, maybe just one. What color? Red, blue, black, white, purple, any color. How big? Large, small, dainty. And what kind? Flavorful. That's what we like, or flavorful foods, or some of us like spicy, some of us like crunchy. All of those are adjectives. All right, when we label in Shirley grammar, remember we find the noun first, and sometimes it's a subject noun. Sometimes it's an object of the preposition. Both of those words are always nouns in our sentences. And then we see if it is described in any way. That's our second point here. And then we label with adjective, ADJ, right here. We put it on top of the adjective. And we remember that article adjectives have an A above them, a, an, and the. So then we have to ask the question about our adjectives, is it a quality adjective? Because that is what we are looking for in our writing. Words like big are okay, but we could get better. Words like gargantuan or gigantic or ginormous or humongous are better. So always check your thesaurus for better words. Now, in IEW writing, there are these words called banned words. Big, little, yellow, red, loud, white. They're okay. They're certainly fine words and you can use them. But can we think of better ones? So instead of using these, could we use these? Words like gigantic or humongous instead of big. Words like tiny, dainty, or small instead of little. Instead of yellow, we could say golden, the golden sun, or the mustard-colored sun. Instead of red, we could say rose-colored or maroon. Instead of loud, we could say ear-piercing or ear-shattering or screaming. We could use other words to communicate. Instead of white, we could say snow white or snow-colored or snow-covered. So there's other ways that we can use words instead of sometimes our little boring words. And in the IEW manual that your parents have, there are word lists with alternative words. And so we'll be referring to those in the future. All right, let's figure out how to do this. Now, when you write a sentence, a lot of times you might just write the sentence, the cat meowed. And that's kind of a boring sentence. So now we want to consider some adjectives to tell me what kind of cat and perhaps make the sentence better. So if we added the color, maybe a golden cat, maybe it's a large cat, maybe it was a cat at the zoo. The golden gigantic, and maybe the cat is loud. The golden gigantic loud cat meowed. That's a much better sentence than we had before. How about this sentence? The cat ate grass. Now let's think of adjectives that could make this a much better sentence. How about the dainty, fearful cow? So he's a scared cow, or she's a scared cow, and she's dainty. The dainty, fearful cow ate the green, luscious grass. It's much, much better than the cow ate grass. And we get some pictures in our minds with these extra words. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to underline in blue. And so I have multiple adjectives, the dainty, fearful cow. Both of those are going to get underlined in blue. Now, I changed the text color to blue as well, just to remind me that they're good adjectives. And green and luscious are going to be underlined too. So let's practice. The red barn burns to the ground. Now we want to find the sentence or the adjective in here. So we're going to find the nouns barn and ground. Well, we want to ask what kind of barn, and there we have it, a red barn. So we would underline barn in red, in blue. I know that's really confusing, isn't it? Now the ground doesn't have any other noun or any other adjectives beside it, so there's nothing else to underline. You do not have to underline a, an, and the in blue. They're not quality adjectives, they're a different kind of adjective. All right, Julie ate at the rickety, ugly picnic table. So we find our noun, which is table, and we ask what kind or how many. Well, we find out it's a picnic table, that's what kind, but it's also an ugly one and it's also a rickety one. So we would underline all three of those in blue. Now, as you are writing your sentences this week, you don't have to underline every single adjective. You can pick just the very best one, or you can pick a couple. Either is fine. Okay, another one. The cow stomped in the muddy, rocky field. So we look at our nouns. First we have cow. Is there anything to tell us about the cow? No, we don't know how big, how little, how dainty. We don't know any of that. So there's nothing to underline. So we go to our next noun, and that is field. And so then we ask, well, what kind of field, or how many fields, or what color field? And we find out that it was rocky and muddy. So we're going to underline both of those again in blue. Our next one is the beautiful vanilla cake fell off the table. Now I want you to hit pause, and I want you to write this sentence, and then I'm going to have you write the next one as well. But you're going to hit pause, or your mom is going to hit pause, and you're going to write this sentence. Now, if you write this sentence and you have the correct words underlined for your adjectives, if you bring this to me, I will give you the next clue word for our little clue thing that we're doing in class. Remember that? We were getting clue words. And if you guys figure out what the clue words are pointing you to, and you come tell me and you're correct, you get a prize out of the prize box or something special. So you have to write this down. So hit pause and write this sentence in your neatest handwriting. And I want you to underline what you think are the adjectives. I will tell you in this sentence that your nouns are cake and table. So underline any adjectives in blue. They have to be in blue. And then we will move forward and see what the answers are. So once you've hit pause, you've written this, you've underlined in blue, then turn this back on and we will go to the next slide. Okay, so if you are back, I am assuming that you are ready to look at the next slide. And that would be this one. The beautiful vanilla. Our two words that are underlined in blue are our quality adjectives. Now we're going to do the same thing with the next one. They ran around the large park in the city. You're going to hit pause. You're going to write this down. You're going to put your name on the paper, because if you bring it to me, I'm going to write the clue word on the paper and give it back to you. And so I need to know who to give it back to, or you won't have the paper. So make sure that name gets on there. So once you have written all of this and you have underlined your quality adjective, and it might not be the best adjective in the world, but go with me here and bring it back, then we'll be able to get that next clue word. So hit pause. Okay, if you are back, I assume that you've written your next sentence, and here's the answer. Large. What kind of park? Large. Now, if you recognize that large is really not a great adjective, if you want to cross that out and put a better adjective, you can do that. There are much better words than large, and so you can look in your own thesaurus and consider a different adjective for that. So there you have it. We have learned all about quality adjectives, and we will be adding those to our writing this week. So when you get to the writing, and I believe that's today that you're doing that you're going to be writing your sentences, I want you to think about those questions. What kind? How big? How many? And those would be the places that you would want to add the adjectives. So I can't wait to see what you've come up with on Monday when you bring this back. We will read some of these. Actually, I can find out on Thursday when we read some of these aloud for our virtual meeting. So I will see you tomorrow on our virtual meeting, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.